What is up, people of the Grunge Bible Podcast? This is episode 142. My name is Ethan Shalloway. We're back in the studio. We have Chris Salona here, per usual, and we are pumped up for your mid-December podcast series of this week and next week before Christmas is upon us, which is crazy. And yeah, we got a great... I know, man. I can't either. And we got a good episode. We're really pumped up to do this. We're recording this on the Wednesday,
December the 6th, right?
6th?
Yeah, today's the 6th.
Something like that. Yeah. And as we do in most shows, I want to start off by checking in with our fellow host, Chris Salona. Chris, how are you?
Well, first off, fellow host Ethan, I'm well. I have... We're going to get into a lot of what's been going on between the two of us and in our lives as it relates to the topic of this episode, because it's all connected. You might not think that some of the things we're going to be discussing today are connected, but I promise you they are. I'm good. Things have just been really crazy. I mean, what else can you say? I got some travel coming up this weekend. Actually, tomorrow on the 7th, I'll leave. I'll be back by the time this podcast drops on the 11th. But no, I'm good. I've just been really, really busy and kind of feeling a little bit worn down by some of the things that have been in my schedule lately. But it's all part of the rhythm of life, Ethan. You know, you got ups and downs, ins and outs, and you commit to it all when you get up in the morning. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to commit to it all. So how are you?
I'm doing well. I just want to shout out to all the Grunge Bible bingo players. If you has Chris uses the Grunge Bible or podcast
voice,
it's like that's like the ironic. Like it's so funny how you pick your spots to do that.
I haven't used it in a few episodes, so it was only fitting.
Maybe I don't know. It comes up.
Yeah,
but I'm doing well. Yeah, this last couple of days, like a few things, I got my plans to go home and a few things kind of just sorted out. And, so I feel a lot more comfortable in the day to day, which is nice. And we've been in close contact regarding a few of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, really close.
And this is one of those episodes, every once in a while, we give you a good movie review. And today we will be doing that, talking about Uncle Buck.
And the 1989 classic.
A classic, one of those just classic 80s, 90s comedies. And through that, we've had a lot of conversations and just kind of connecting. And I mean, it's just a busy time in life. That is the holiday, busy time of year for everybody. And, I think we're also at that age where, there's a lot of pressures and outside stuff. So it's just, it's all culminating around this holiday season. So that's led to a lot of good conversations. And they've helped. I'm in a good headspace, and it's a good time to record a podcast about it because that's when you have fun with it. And today will be no different.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel better about a lot of these things after a couple of chats that we've had and a viewing of Uncle Buck and, some of the music that we've been listening to. And, you got to use these life vessels, these life rafts when you can, to keep on floating down that river. So, it's been a while, Ethan, since we've done a movie review. I believe the last one that we've done Singles most recently. We did The Big Lebowski around this time last year, and then one of our first episodes was Into the Wild. So this is a rarity, which if a movie review is also like one of the more coveted spaces on the Grunge Bible bingo card, you all can check that one off. You've waited patiently for it. You've been watching and listening for a very long time now. And we're able to have these conversations, because of the support that we receive, namely the people who choose to support us on Patreon. And as you know, we have a $2, $5, and $10 tier. You can choose to sign up to any of those three tiers and make a monthly contribution to keep this podcast rolling. You can also purchase some merchandise, and we just got a lovely email from a podcast listener named William who said, "My Grunge Bible sweatshirt arrived today. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for a great podcast." So I'm really happy to hear that, William. We hope that you're out there listening to this one, and we thank you once again for your support. So that's what it takes to keep this going. It takes the Williams of the world, and it takes the Patreon supporters of the world, in particular the top tier, which once again, for the second week in a row, I will read all of them. I will not miss any names as I did on episode 140. And these individuals give us $10 a month, all of which goes towards making this podcast. You know, we bought a lot of equipment this year. There's hosting services we have to pay Drew. The furlough is over, so the money is going, you know, the funding is available, and it is going into his account, maybe this week or next week, but it will be there. So I would like to thank our top tier right now. And their names are Carlene Salona, Alexis Shannon, Jade Mercado, Laura and Irene, Jamie Lynn, Fuck Soup, The Blue Owl, Millie, Doug Endy, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Black Hole Sean, Chris LSMS, Nikki Six, Kara K, Alex Long, Seattle 4 fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, Faith Bittner, Granny Grunge, Apona, Mike McCready's Mustache, Sherry Matthews, Keith White, Corden Stewart, Lameller Bone, Eric R. Berry, Gochujang, D-Boat, and Pile of Punk. The all-inclusive, all-expenses-paid Patreon list. I know for a fact I didn't leave anybody out this time. It's very extensive and inclusive.
Yeah, you do a great job every week. You nail it. You don't miss. Just like the podcast, you don't miss.
That's the thing. And, I'm 141 for 142. So, I mean, if that's baseball, I'm batting like 990 something.
Yeah, I mean, today you nailed it. Today you nailed it. You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I'm batting 993 as batting averages go.
That gets you in the Hall of Fame every single time.
I think that gets you into the Hall of Fame. I would hope so, certainly. So thank you once again for everyone choosing to support us, and also anyone who's just present here today. If you share it with a friend or mention it to somebody, that goes a long way too. So another year is closing down, but we're really excited to talk about some Uncle Buck today. But before we do that, Ethan, we do have to get through some this day in music history. And I have to say, this day in music history kind of sucks. Like there wasn't anything that I got super excited about, and we'll just get into it with some birthdays here. There's only two of them that I think are necessary to shout out, so I'll just rip through them right now, and then we can get into the events. On December 11th, 1944, Brenda Lee was born. Brenda Lee, you're hearing a lot more from her recently because she is responsible for the hit Christmas song, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Grunge rockin' around the Christmas tree. Happy birthday to
Brenda Lee. December 11th, 1943.
Well, it was actually 44. Absolutely amazing. So happy birthday to Brenda Lee. And then also I would like to wish a birthday to Nikki Sixx, born on this day in 1958.
I'd like to wish a birthday to Nikki Sixx.
That's like when people like the Red Sox just made a trade yesterday with the Yankees. They traded Alex Verdugo for like a bunch of
They make trades
pitchers
together?
That was the fourth time in the last 25 years they've done it, so it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
And the top comment on one of the posts about it was like, "This is one of the trades of all time." Which, you know, Nikki Sixx, I wish him a birthday. You know, it's happening. We don't like Nikki Sixx around here. We don't like Motley Crue. We do, however, like our Patreon supporter who goes by Nikki Sixx. We've never been able to vet whether or not it actually is the Nikki Sixx. If it is, I'm not really sorry. I still don't like you. We'll just take your money, though. But I don't have anything else to say about Nikki Sixx.
I mean, I guess wishing somebody a birthday is not incorrect grammar, right?
It's factual. I mean,
yeah.
You're just acknowledging the fact that it's out there.
That you have a birthday. It doesn't, we just don't necessarily need it to be happy, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I need to recalibrate how I think about Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and the Beatles, because it's like that quote, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And I think I've hated them for far too long. I think I'm just indifferent now. I can't even be bothered to be upset about them anymore.
Right.
So, birthday to Nikki Sixx.
I love it.
Great.
I love it. So, okay, moving forward.
This day in music history.
Aretha Franklin plays her first show.
That's
Chris,
major.
I'm pretty sure your mom is a big Aretha Franklin fan.
My mom loves Aretha Franklin.
Yes, I was going to say. I mean, I'm assuming you do too because of her, but I know for some reason I remember that.
Oh yeah, growing up, my mom loved soul music, Motown kind of sound. So we always used to listen to it like on housework day on Saturdays. Like she'd throw some Aretha on the old like '90s like big deck like tape player or whatever that we had in the living room. They actually, I think it was Jennifer Hudson starred in a biopic about Aretha Franklin like a couple of years ago. I took my mom to go see it, and I've it's an easy crowd hitting for any sort of occasion or Christmas. If there's any sort of Aretha Franklin media that I can can get her, I've tended to do that. So definitely a big day. This was a big day in music history for firsts. On this day in 1965, the Velvet Underground play their first show, and it occurred in New Jersey, and they played 3 songs at this show: Heroin, There She Goes Again, and Venus and Furs. Velvet Underground, once again, I'm far from an authority or even far from being knowledgeable about them, but what I know about them, I really, really enjoy. Super complex and very influential, obviously, too. So that's a big event as well on this day in 1965.
So they only played 3 songs?
It must have been like a small little thing. I think it was at like a high school auditorium or something. So
okay, so
maybe
they were.
You know how those go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very crunched in time. Maybe it was a talent show.
Could have been.
If they were in high school, and probably not, but maybe 65.
Yeah, I don't know the timelines of those individuals, but
moving forward,
up 1 year.
In 1966, Elton John's band Bluesology opens for Little Richard in London. When I saw Little Richard standing on top of the piano, all lights, sequins, and energy, I decided there and then that I was going to be a rock and roll piano player.
So that was the day.
That was the day. And we love some Elton John.
Yeah, we do.
You've seen him.
I saw him last summer,
you saw
actually.
Him. Yeah, you saw him. So did Jeffrey Dugas, the surgeon that did my shoulder. He's posted about it. I haven't had the pleasure to see him. He's a legend. I'm sure that I heard his shows are big, right? I mean, at this point, they're spectacles.
They were big spectacles. Evidently, he's retired from touring. He did like a goodbye Yellow Brick Road farewell tour that lasted like 5 years, as they do. I think COVID kind of interrupted it. So I think he's done full scale touring. So hopefully something can come up, again, that you'll be able to potentially see him. But yeah, Elton John is one of the greats of his day, certainly. So that's a big moment right there. This was his inspiration day. Moving up to something that is a little bit less inspiring. Both of these things happened on this day in 1970. The Ringo Starr movie, The Magic Christian, premiered in London. I don't know anything about that, but it kind of ties into the other thing that happened on this day in 1970. John Lennon releases his debut solo album, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. So that's another thing that happened on this day. Both former Beatles just jamming December 11th, 1970 with all sorts of fanfare and exciting things. So that's what we've got there.
Yep. More Beatles history for you guys.
More Beatles history.
In 1972, Genesis play their first show. And Genesis rocks.
Do they?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think they were pretty influential. I don't listen to them a ton. I know my dad enjoyed them a lot.
Absolutely.
I don't know if rock's the right word, but they were very groovy and just, I don't know, sound in a lot of their music that people love. Like I can guarantee that Tom loves Genesis.
Oh yeah. Tom definitely loves Genesis. That's amazing. Last event that we have on the docket here on December 11th, 1981, George Thorogood completes the 50 for 50. He played 50 shows in 50 days in 50 states. And I believe we had mentioned this some weeks ago at one of the points along this 50 for 50 tour. I think he was so intoxicated that he only played like a song and had to be like taken off of the stage. So it's good to know that he saw it through and he made it. Ethan, do you think you could do 50 shows, 50 of anything in 50 days in 50 states?
I know that I read that and I was like, that is actually really, really impressive considering, you have Hawaii and Alaska that you're going to have to
logistically challenging,
set up. And I mean, that is a challenge and really, really impressive. Could I do it? With proper funding, anything is possible.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. It's funny. One of my strength and conditioning / like collegiate track and field coaching friends, we were spitballing about something once, and he was like, "Do you know what you should do?" And I said, "No, what?" He's like, "You should do a 150 for 50 in 50 fundraiser type thing." He's like you should go 50 states in 50 days, and every day in a different state, you just go to a gym and clean 150 kilos and like do it for some sort of charity thing.
Someone told you to do that?
Somebody suggested that I do that. But first of all, 150 key clean is not that impressive. Secondly, I don't have 50 days to spare, and I certainly don't have 50 states worth of travel to spare. So it'd have to be a very well executed fundraiser.
Yes. I mean, you could find 50 days.
That's true. Yeah, I could find 50
You could
days.
find 50 days, and you could do 150 kilos. So the other thing would just be the logistics and making it, worth a follow. And
right.
That would be, I mean, it's just one of those things like, I mean, it's just a challenge. Like, and then you can say
it's just a challenge.
Did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a challenge.
I am impressed. Maybe I'm still trying to get to 50 states. I'm at like 38, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I think I'm at like 38 or 39.
Nice. Yeah. I'm missing the North in a lot of ways, like the Dakotas.
Although you're the only person that's going to be able to answer this question. Can I check South Carolina off the list from the wedding that we went to? Does it count, even though I don't particularly remember a whole lot of the trip?
It definitely counts, but like when people, it counts for you, but when people ask, like, if
conversationally, I don't have anything to say about Charleston.
Like, if someone asks you what you thought of Charleston, like, we can't give an honest answer.
I cannot give an honest answer.
I kind of want to go back for a second. I can't believe you asked if Genesis was like, with Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel.
I just don't really know much about them.
Phil Collins. That's all you need to know. Peter Gabriel.
Never been my cup of tea,
Freaking,
I've been busy
guitarist,
with other...
Steve Hackett.
Of course, the Hack Daddy.
Yeah.
The Hack Daddy.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. That was This Day in Music, December 11th. And if you're still listening, thank you. That means that you really want to hear our thoughts on Uncle Buck. Yeah. And
which is good because we really want to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. I definitely want to talk about it. So first thing I just want to put out there, like, music reviews is what we do all the time, and we kind of get connected to music. And I don't even know if we said it last week on the pod, but me and Chris have talked about it. Like, watching movies that pull out emotions that you didn't know you have, and like having like, usually soundtracks are playing in the back, so music and movies are close together. Totally. And the acting is a display of the characters, but also the people that are playing them. It's a really good depiction of feelings and their expression. And like, I just love it because it does the same thing that music does. It pulls out these emotions that you don't know how to express. That's the best way I've been saying that the last 2 weeks, and it makes so much sense to me. And I'm so happy that we have, like, this model of episode for us is in the firm. We've been, in the fold. Yeah. We've talked about it for 2 years, ever since we wanted to do the Big Lebowski. The Good Will Hunting episode is coming. Like,
it's coming,
and it's all nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like these. That's why movies age the same way. Cult classics.
And before we get into the specifics of this movie, it's really been interesting for me, because growing up, we weren't really a cinema family. Like we wouldn't really go to tons of movies, and unless it was something that I wanted to go see, or like it wasn't like a family thing. It was like, hey mom, like this just came out, like it looks really cool. Can I go with my friends, or can we take, myself and like my best friends? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. So I missed out on so many of the quote unquote classic movies, and like a lot of the series, like I haven't seen, but it's almost, now that I'm, in my late 20s now, like it's almost a good thing, because I like the headspace that I'm in now. Like so many of these things I think affect me, and I receive them in a much different, maybe more complex way. And I understand more, as opposed to maybe if I had seen movies for the first time, so I don't have that memory of seeing it when I was young, but it affects me, I think, just as much now that I'm seeing it at the age that I'm at. And I mean, that's the best type of art, right? Obviously, I think no matter what age or what situation you're in, you can get something out of it no matter where you are. And I think that most of the music that we talk about, it's the same way. Most of the people who listen to this heard the music for the first time when they were teenagers, and they're still 30 years later listening to us talk about it. I think it's the same with a lot of these movies, and Uncle Buck was one. For sure. It came out of nowhere, Ethan. I had no idea this movie even existed until this past weekend when your brother texted us. He texted us a scene from the movie, which we will talk about. And he was like, "You need to post this on Grunge Bible." And you did it, I think, on Sunday night. And I was so affected by that, not knowing anything else about the movie, that the following night, Monday night, I got home, I worked, I went to the gym, I came home, showered and ate, and I was like, I'm watching Uncle Buck, not really knowing all much of what it was about. And it completely took me for a ride, and it wrecked me, in the best possible way. I was not okay. And
people are listening and they've probably seen the movie and they're just like, this is
like,
crazy
what the fuck?
that
It's
Chris
a comedy.
is saying this.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but it's like, you have to understand, and
There's
we'll try
ins
to,
and outs.
yeah. And we'll articulate it to you because you just watched it last night again, kind of in the same kind of headspace that we're in. So this movie's really, really important. And how about we get into, for those maybe who haven't seen it,
Right.
The
synopsis.
Ethan, if you have a little bit of a synopsis.
Yeah, so this is the writing synopsis. As an idle, good-natured bachelor, Uncle Buck is the last person you would think of to watch the kids. However, during a family crisis, he is suddenly left in charge of his nephew and nieces. Unaccustomed to suburban life, fun-loving Uncle Buck soon charms his younger relatives, Miles and Maisie, with his hefty cooking and the new way of doing laundry. His carefree style does not impress everyone, though, especially his rebellious teenage niece, Tia, and his impatient girlfriend, Shanice. With a little bit of luck and a lot of love, Uncle Buck manages to surprise everyone in a heartwarming family comedy. And so you have that synopsis, and it's a pretty basic plot. Like, I mean, he just comes in and is a part of the family, and it's like, who's an outcast in the family dynamic. He doesn't even remember the kids' names to start, and the relationship grows and people affect people, and like it's a collision of worlds. And it's so good because, like I said, it's a simple, like the movie, the parents just come back after
It's a week.
The mother's parent has a heart attack and he has to go visit, and then after a week he just comes back, and the movie's over, but like all of the meat happens throughout the time. And I think it's important because it's John Candy.
That's the thing. I think
Yeah.
we wouldn't be talking about this if a different actor, I think, had played the lead.
Right.
And Ethan, you'll probably be able to talk about this more, John Candy, as it relates to him and his performances, because I think this was really the first movie that I've ever sat down. I'm like, okay, like this is John Candy.
Yeah.
I've not seen Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, for example. Like, I'm not very familiar with a lot of his work, but I was captivated.
100%. I mean, he pops up in, I think he pops up in Home Alone at the end. Him and,
Yeah, I
and
think
Macaulay
so.
Culkin's
A lot
in this
of
as
people
well.
are in Home Alone.
Spaceballs and Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, which is obviously a classic. He's in Blues Brothers. And yeah, there's something about, like I said, these 80s, 90s comedies. And I just want to point out like how much and I don't have a degree in movies or cinema. But it's very clear that comedy has changed over the years. And back then they had this really dry, and it was all monologue based. And you really needed, characters like John Candy, the Chris Farleys, the Bill Murrays of the world, and or Steve Martin. And it was all dialogue based. And that's what this movie is full of quotes. And the way that he delivered them is what makes it special. It's not like necessarily the writing, but it's just like, he's that guy that, you want to, you love and you root for. And it's funny along the way because it's all stuff you can connect to. So I think, because of the change in movies, just like the change in music, that's why these, movies and songs have the nostalgia attached to it. And of course, sadly, Candy passed away at only age 43 to a heart attack in 94. So that's the same. It's the same as a lot of the, the musicians that we love. And I think watching that, knowing that he passed away and like, it just, I know for you, for the first time, of course, it's another one where you're just like, oh my gosh, so you watch this and be like, he's passed away.
Like,
and then,
it's you kind of mourn it all again. And that is the common thread, because it's like you said, it's the same. And anybody who's captivating in any sort of artistic place, it's not what they're delivering, but it's how they're doing it. So you think of the guitarist that we love. It's the sweat that's in their hands and just the soul that they have that they're able to translate through their physical movements or through their act of singing. And it's how they're able to project their words out into the world that makes them special. I mean, you could take any of these acting performances, you could give these scripts to any of us, you could give, any of these songs to any musician, in a cover band downtown in a bar, and it's not the same. There's that intangible thing that lives inside of people who are great, that makes this what it is and elevates this. And it was the same with John Candy, and it was the same in this movie, and it was so captivating for me. And I that's like the 9th time I've said captivating, but I don't really know how else to describe it. And it's just like one of those things where it didn't feel like a comedy to me, almost, like, because I think I entered it with like a certain weight of like John Candy, he had died at 43, and there was some sort of lesson in this movie that I was keeping my eyes out for, and it had funny points, but it almost felt like a coming of age type film for me, which I love those movies, like I fucking love them. So
yeah. Man, it's just like so much. We have a bunch of stuff written down. I don't know how in depth we're going to go into a lot of this. I think we connected to the character. Like I was like, "Am I Uncle Buck?" It's a fun-loving bachelor, and the scene that we actually posted that my brother had sent to me. It's him one of the nights he's staying with the kids, and they had gone to bed, and he's sitting on the couch and he's talking to the dog, and he's having a few beers. He's like, "Last call," and he just kind of talks to the dog for a little bit and said, they used to say that I had it made, no job, no kids, and all this stuff, and just living the life. And, people always say like, you got it made. And I find that a lot because I'm chasing something, and like you talk to people and they're like, wow, man, you're just chasing a dream. Like, that's awesome. I got to work a 9 to 5. I got to do this. And they compare it to what they're doing. And the grass is always greener because I hear that and I'm like, yeah, like I'm so happy to be doing what I'm doing, but it's obviously very tough at times. And then, like he said, it's like, the problem, Purse, is like, nobody says that anymore. Once you get older, it's not as cool to be the bachelor and to be doing all those things. And, people want you to get your life together so they can trust you. And it gets relationship, like you can't flake out on relationships without repercussions when you're in your 30s and 40s because people don't want to mess around. And it was very like, yeah, I watched it and I was just like, yeah, nobody says that anymore. Like it was a very, coming of age.
There's a funny thing in here because, I'm 27 and you're 29, and I'm sure there's people who listen to this podcast regularly who are 10, 15, 20 years older than us. And they're about to listen to us kind of work through those ideas and the fact that we feel that way sometimes, and they're going to laugh at us because like, kid, you got time. And it's just that weird dichotomy because like, we know it's true. Like we know we have time, and we know that, we're young, and there's so many blank pages out in front of us, but like you totally feel like that at certain points, and it might be for 5 minutes, it might be for a night, it might be for a week, but those feelings always come around. And to have it kind of articulated through this like larger than life gregarious figure in a comedy, it's billed as a comedy, and you kind of have this really vulnerable moment in the middle of the movie as the plot is kind of progressing, and it just kind of like spoke to those feelings that I think everybody feels, because at some point you got to pick, right? Like you're either going to pick the independence or you're going to pick the companionship route, and there's always that element of like, when you pick one, it's like, okay, like out there somewhere, there's an alternate version where like I went the other way. And I think everybody thinks about the other way, I mean, as it relates to
the grass is always greener.
It's always greener.
It's so easy for people to be like locked in, maybe a kid at a young age, just be like, man, like if I would have just give myself more time, but then we're on the other side, and it's like, man, if I would have just had a relationship, I'd be there's like 8 years married or something at this point.
And we're at the point too where like I feel like all we've done the past couple of years, like we go to our friends' weddings and our friends are getting engaged and bachelor parties and everything, and our siblings are having families and starting families, and like those thoughts always pop up. And something I think a common theme that we've always had throughout the page is kind of that isolation versus solitude thing, and it's all in the eyes of the beholder, and it's all based on where you are. It's like you have that solitude and that independence when you're feeling good, but when you're not, you kind of just feel like a isolated kite without a string in a little way.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they articulated those themes in this movie, both through the independence that the Uncle Buck character had, and kind of comparing and contrasting it with Tia, the oldest niece, and kind of how she's charting her life and how she's kind of acting out her independence in different ways. It was kind of like it's like, here you are, and here's what you could be 30 years from now, and you can both kind of have the same awakening and come to the same understanding that life's better with people in it, whatever that means for you at the time, whether it's being more open and understanding to your parents, or whether it's deciding that, hey, maybe I do need to kind of be more forthcoming and be more vulnerable with the people that I'm in the person that I'm in a relationship with. So it was kind of cool. You saw those stories play out simultaneously, and both characters helped one another achieve that end, despite the animosity that existed from one side to the other, with Tia not wanting anything to do with Uncle Buck.
Yeah, and when they're driving home from the climax of it,
the party,
and the party, and I guess in the beginning, Tia, she is really rebellious against her mom, and that relationship is no good, and by the end of it, and she refuses Uncle Buck in the beginning, but then they have a come to grips moment, and like she's obviously listening to Uncle Buck, and then Buck realizes that he can learn from her as well, and like that whole thing is very look in the mirror type of thing, and it's very vulnerable, and she says like don't tell my parents, and
he says I won't. I'm just glad I had the chance to get to know you again.
Right, and she's like and he says like we don't need to talk about it. I just want to get you home. And I love that, and it like I said, that's like the main relationship that they both get a lot from, and that's kind of the at the end that closing scene says it all for us. That small soft smile that is.
Yeah, it certainly does, and that kind of that theme there where it's like this teenager Tia doesn't want anything to do with this weird dude who's just popping up, and you can obviously tell that like Buck's not around the family. I mean, like the wedding picture was folded over, like he's not even in the wedding album, and his brother's wife doesn't really like him, and like the kids, the Tia doesn't really like him, and none of that discourages Buck from like trying to do the right thing and like trying to do right by Tia, and just regardless of what the consequences are. And it's just kind of like that testament to doing the right thing because it's the right thing, not because it's going to make you look better or earn you points in the short term. And oftentimes you do the right thing, you have to make hard choices. And he had to, in the interim, alienate, his niece, because he saw what was best for her. And then, that wholesome moment where she's like, you were right about everything you said that was going to happen did happen, like this boy was no good for me. And he's like, and she's like, how did you know? And he's like, because like 25 years ago, like I was that kid. He's like, I know. And then just kind of like to be able to do the right thing, have somebody come around and understand that like, hey, you had my best interest in mind, and like not like showboat in the end zone, so to speak, like just like, hey, like it's fine, like I'm not looking for any recognition, like I'm not gonna, like, you don't owe a debt to me, like I just did this because I care about you, and I think that's a really important lesson. I think it comes up a lot in family too, as like families play out, and there's obviously different drama, and familial relationships can be hard as people grow, and especially when people are reintroduced to certain people, and it's tough, but it's just the kind of one of those things that, the right thing, hopefully, if you got a good heart, you're going to be all right, and the right thing is going to prevail in the end.
Yeah. And no, you brought up how it's funny that this is a comedy, billed as a comedy. And I think it's important because, a lot of people that, Buck is in the movie, Buck, and probably in real life, John Candy, larger than life character. And usually people like that can be really down on themselves, depressed even. And they mask it with comedy, and it's like really difficult to sometimes see through that. And I see that all the time. It's just so easy to be like, Chris Farley, there's a lot of quotes about how he, felt the need to be the life of the party all the time.
Robin
and that
Williams
was like
as
really,
well.
Robin Williams, yeah, and like it really wore a lot. And So the fact that, it's a comedy that has these like mending of relationships and growth in there, I think is really important because it's very realistic to the world, to the day to day.
Yeah. And then just like when he realizes that, he's been spending this entire week trying to help this kid and trying to do what he knows is right to help this kid, he still has the wherewithal and the humility to kind of realize maybe they can, maybe this kid can help me. And, and that car ride home after he picked her up from the party is, he says, I've been riding your butt just about all week about how you live your life. It's like, I realized maybe somebody should have been riding mine. And it's kind of like all of these moments come back to that theme of like, maybe this, like, you had it, you've got it made isn't necessarily what you want, and it can change, and you have to be open to that, even though, I think a lot of times in life, just because something's different, we assume that it's not for us, right? It's like, how do you make that transition? And I think that's something that everybody struggles with. I struggle with it too, because as you get older, you have certain responsibilities and there's certain expectations, and it's hard to kind of open yourself up to them. And oftentimes I think the words and the encouragement and just listening to others can help you do that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess moving forward, just talk about another few quotes that we love. We can keep going on about the relationship and all that, but there's one in the beginning when he first gets there, and we both wrote it down, I believe, or maybe you just. I'm sure you probably.
I think I know
the
what
first
one you're going to be talking about here.
Yeah, and Uncle Buck says, "Hey, I stopped smoking cigarettes. Isn't that something? I'm on to cigars now.
That
I'm on
is something."
He said, I'm on a 5-year plan. Eliminated cigarettes. Now I'm on cigars. Then I go to pipes, then chewing tobacco, then the nicotine gum. And I love that. It's just like, I'm not ready to let go. I'm gonna wean myself off, and it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's so funny
because everybody has to do something.
Everybody's got to do something, and it's kind of weird and funny how that directly parallels like the relationship that he has with Shanice, like his longtime girlfriend. He's like, I've been stringing her along for 8 years, and after 8 years, you're kind of you're pulling out all the stops, and clearly, I mean, going from cigs to cigars, and then all the way down to the nicotine gum, like you're really entrenched to that idea. Like you got to hold on to that, and sometimes that's what you have to do. And then another really funny meme, because obviously Buck doesn't look anything like his brother. His brother's this like kind of clean cut, like well kept together, like thinner human being, and I forget if it was Tia or if it was one of the younger ones, Maisie or Miles, looks at him and says, "What happened to you?" He's like, "Recessive gene."
Yes, he said, these they're beautiful children. What happened to you? He's like, "Recessive gene skips every 9 generations."
Every 9 generations.
I got it this time. Tragic. I freaking love that.
Yeah,
oh, it's so good.
So funny how like they had like
just
things that were
response.
Simultaneously humorous and also like poignant going on at the same time. Like I think of the scene, I don't know why this would happen, but like he had to go to like the parent teacher conference with the assistant principal about Maisie, and like this old assistant principal played by Suzanne Shepard, who was also Carmela's mother in The Sopranos, so that was pretty fun for me to be like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like, oh, there it is. There's Mrs. DeAngelis. She's like reaming out this 6-year-old. She's like, I know a bad seed when I see one. And then he's like, she's like, this child is a dreamer, a silly heart, and like doesn't care about any of their, any bit of their career as a student. And Uncle Buck just absolutely lays into her. He's like, I don't think I want to know a 6-year-old who isn't a dreamer or a silly heart, and I sure don't want to know one who takes their student career seriously. I don't have a college degree. I don't even have a job, but I know a good kid when I see one, because they're all good kids until dried out, brain dead skags like you drag them down and convince them they're no good. And that's just like that's one for the kids in the back of the class. That's one for the kids that maybe are ridden a little too hard by their teachers or their parents. That's, we all know them.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, it fits.
They are all good kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it to dream big, and especially when you're young. I mean, it's a good reminder to the teachers, like you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Young kids are so malleable, and I know. I love that. I was glad that you brought that up and said that. That was a great scene, obviously.
Yeah, we needed that one. And yeah, man, like
Because that's how it was. I feel like that's how it was with, teachers and principals back in the day. I mean,
it's tough.
They would pick, just because kids were being a disturbance for what it is. And there wasn't a lot of maybe information about, special schooling and needs and stuff.
Well, and I think even today, like schools really, even today, I think only recognize like a couple of very specific types of intelligence, and they only celebrate a few very specific types of temperament. And everybody, is intelligent in different ways and have different things that they're passionate about. And I think we spent so much time, kind of trying to get everybody to fit a specific mold rather than celebrating the different things that people bring to the table. And, once again, in the middle of this comedy with, one of the funniest actors of his generation, one of the biggest characters of his generation, you have these lessons that are kind of sprinkled in. So it's like you get the family together to watch this and everybody gets a different lesson from it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said.
Also, one of my last thoughts, how about that big stack of pancakes that he made for little Miles' birthday?
Incredible. And that's like, oh man, I just love the idea of, I have 2 nieces now, but doing something like that and having
the fun uncle and like doing these absurd gestures that, he just wants to do. And how special it can be. That was great. That was so fun. This movie had like just enough slapstick comedy in it.
Yeah.
To kind of perfectly fit in that era and perfectly fit like what you would expect out of a movie that was billed as the way that it was. The scene with the washing machine, for example, or trying to wash the clothes in the microwave.
Classic.
It's absolutely but once again, like you said at the top, like this template has been done so many times. So to go back to it again and to make something that is as special as this movie is something that's really cool. And I'm so happy that your brother sent us that text over the weekend, because like I said, I had no idea about this movie, and I'm so happy that I had some free time on Monday to watch it, because now that I have, it's definitely not the last time I'll watch it, that's for sure. And that's the best compliment you can give any movie, I think, that you go back to it, you appreciate it from the beginning and you keep returning to it. So that's what I have to say about The Mighty Uncle Buck. What a damn good film.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of that, to tie it back into what we posted, at the end of it, he says, but it'll all be better tomorrow, always is. And, that's really important, because a lot of times when you're thinking like, nobody says that anymore, like people view me differently, or, times are really tough. And, you can take solace in the fact that, tomorrow's a new day. And feelings change like the seasons, one day was its own thing and the next day is totally different. Yeah. And the ups and downs of life do happen. So tomorrow will always be better. At least it's a new shot.
Yeah. And you've got another chance.
Yeah. You got another chance.
And that ties in really, really well with a lot of the music that we've kind of been focused on the last couple of days. I was a little earlier to this destination than I think you were, Ethan, as it relates to this band. Last week, it was funny. I mentioned Spanish love songs at the end, and I was like, we'll save that for another time. And then we proceeded to do like 15 minutes on it, which was
pointed out by Eddie
proceeding to not save it for another time. Yeah, thank you, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce for pointing that out. But the same thing, as he's like, it'll all be better tomorrow. I've been obsessed with the Spanish Love Songs album, Brave Faces Everyone, from 2020. I'm pretty sure I must have mentioned that last week. And the last song is called Brave Faces Everyone. And the final lyrics, it closes down with that same theme, and just like that scene in Uncle Buck where, he's like, things have not maybe turned out the way I wanted them to. Like, there's a lot of tough things I'm dealing with, but I'll be better tomorrow. This whole album is just talking about so many problems in his life, so many problems in the lives of his friends and family and the world, climate change, like the opioid epidemic, mental health, everything, economic conditions. And at the end, he's like, we don't have to fix everything at once. We were never broken. Life's just very long. Brave faces, everyone. So like, once again, to kind of stand in the face and recognize everything that's being thrown at you and still be able to, to be able to stand up and be like, you know what, like it will be better tomorrow because I'm willing to put in the effort. Earlier in that song, he's talking about a lot of different things. He's like, I'm still paying off a good idea from when I was 23, a life spent living off loans, and I still don't know what I love. I'm over leveraged. My credit's gone weak. And then he goes on to say, but at least I'm seeing things more positively because I swear to God, I'm an optimist. And that kind of human spirit, man, is like, that's the theme that we needed, because I think for a while, the past couple of days, we were focusing on like the "they don't say that anymore" part. We were focused on like the, I'm over leveraged and my credit's gone weak part. But I think the sun has risen, and we're kind of focusing on that, fuck it, I'm an optimist part. Like, let's put on a brave face.
I swear to God, I'm an optimist.
Figure out these problems, man. And I'm glad that we're getting to that point. But I think you have to know both sides to really proceed with a full understanding. You have to be on the down to realize the up. So yeah, man. Yeah. I know you've taken the last couple of days. You took a little bit of a listen.
The past 2 months have been full of Midwest emo punk, all that stuff. Yeah. We've been pretty
pop punk. Hell yeah.
We've been pretty into it. And I listened, you sent it over, and we obviously talked about it, and I listened to it, and instantly I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard this band before.
Totally.
And if I hadn't heard them before, I heard a band that sounded exactly like them. This is very nostalgic, even though it's been a 10-year band. I think they started in 2013.
Yeah, more or less.
And yeah, all the songs just, really, pretty rock driven in a lot of ways. They jam, and his voice is a beautiful voice that really, speaks, allows me to hear in the lyrics and whatnot. So, and it's so good. And yeah, it really puts you in a place of self-reflectiveness, and it's been solid. I think it's been a really good thing,
Yeah, I knew you were hooked when yesterday you texted me at just about 8 p.m. I got a text from Ethan. We had chatted earlier in the day, and then I get a text from Ethan, and it says, "Listening to Spanish love songs as the Chick-fil-A Christmas lights flash. 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night in December. Christmas is looming." And I said, "Fuck, man, be careful."
Yeah. It was like, it was something about like sitting there, like you said, the lights, it's a Chick-fil-A, it's Christmas time, and all the lights are booming, and like the Christmas lights on the house, and it's like a happy time of year, but it's cold. It's December. You're in your car, it's heating up because, the car was cold and stuff. And and you have this more or less sad music. It's, more or less sad music playing, and you're just caught in the middle of like, which side do I take? Like, how do I view the holiday season? And and like I said, time of life that we're in, we've had a lot of conversations of like, I don't want to say discovery, but we're always working on ourselves, and
we're learning.
And it's just been so hectic, and like, man, it's just one of those times. It's been a lot of traffic these last couple months.
And I think like we've been spending a lot of time with this art, because in this art, it really showcases the fact that like at any point in time, there is good and bad occurring simultaneously everywhere you look. And it's like that decision that you have, like which one are you thinking about and focusing on when you close your eyes at night? And I think we felt a lot of that the same way, like as it relates to social media. And like we had a talk yesterday, I was like, I'm just so fucking tired of looking at a screen. And obviously like we're in a position where we're fortunate enough to like turn off the screen because it's on a screen. It's not the reality that we're in, and there's people all over the world who are suffering tremendously because of the hate and selfishness of other people. But and if it's taking a toll on us, I can only imagine what it's like for them. But it's hard, with so much tough shit in the world and so much bad going on. Like it is hard to believe in the good and to be able to wake up the next day and be like, you know what, like today's like I am going to contribute to the good today, because there's just so much about like the state of the world, I think, that just breeds apathy, and it's just like, you know what, like it doesn't matter, so fuck it, I'm just gonna throw my hands up and like not contribute either way, which is contributing negatively, because if you're not putting positivity and you're not trying to be good, then that's a net negative. So it's just it's good to be encouraged and reminded, through a lot of this art, that like, hey, like despite everything that's going on and despite how bad it can be, like do your part. It doesn't always have to be a lot. You just do your version each day of good work, and focus on that, and that, over time it becomes your legacy, and it becomes who you are and what you can give to those around you.
Yeah, the social media wear and tear of the last 7 years and 10 years, and how it's grown, and its importance in everybody's day to day, and how you interact, and how everything is a side hustle. If you're not making money, you're not, it's no good. And that is so draining. I mean, it's hard to spend free time freely these days because one, you feel like you need to be progressing in some form. You need to be posting or doing something, or you need to be learning. And like, it's hard to say get lost in a book or get lost in the music or do something just because, like I said, I'm watching the movie and it's like, you know, he takes the time to make breakfast, like a big breakfast, and do something special for the kids. Like, you know, he is a bachelor, and, you know, and he makes his money on gambling, and like he feels like he needs to do that, but he takes the time to kind of invest in others, and that quality time seems to be, you know, diminished in today's world where, you know, it's easy, you know, you want to do something for somebody rather than spending time with them. And that's not, you know, necessarily how this life should be lived. I don't think like being able to have, more quality time is always going to,
it's hard because
it's always going to breed. I mean, it's in, you can go first. I'll save mine.
Yeah, it's tough because, like you said, like all of these obligations that we have from day to day have become so pervasive because they're always sitting there on your table or in your pocket. And there's always like, you always feel like you gotta be doing something or making money, like you said, or like showing people something. Like you gotta put something out in the world, like, hey, like this is what I've accomplished. And it's even like, it's funny because we shared that same understanding yet last night on the phone. We were chatting about it. And then as soon as that part of the conversation ended, what did we do? We had to talk business about Grunge Bible and a couple of deals that we're working. And like, it really never ends. And it's getting increasingly difficult to balance all of these things because it's not like you go home and, you know, you close the books at work, you take your drive home, listen to the radio and sit down and read the paper after you eat dinner. Like it's different. And also, you know, it's partially, I mean, maybe more than partially, it's our own faults for, you know, letting that seep into so much of our lives, but it's hard not to.
It's our own fault, but it's also like,
it's just the world that we live in.
Yeah, like it's not your fault, kid.
Well, the thing is, like, if everybody's falling victim to it, like, is it really all of their individual faults? You know, so like that's an element of it. But yeah, it's tough, and it just becomes, there's so many things to balance. And like I don't have a wife, I don't have children. That'd be really funny taken out of context. Just like put that soundbite up there. I'm alone. It's just like, you know, and like I can only imagine once you add those elements of your life, how critical it is to balance and take that quality time. It's hard, you know, like you sit down and watch a game or a movie, and then you look up and you realize you missed the last 10 minutes, or like it'll happen to me. I'll watch the Bruins and like I look up, I'm like, oh, the Bruins scored. Like I didn't see the goal. I didn't even realize it. And it's hard to take that time, like put the phone down. That's what I did last night. I made my dinner and I sat down, no phone, no YouTube, not even any music. I just sat there and I
raw dogging life.
I raw dogged it, dude, and it felt good. Just like the silence and you know, you're intentional with your time. It's hard.
Yeah, I remember like 10 years ago, I think I was in high school, and it was at a youth group, and the pastor was talking about something on social media, but he said, and the main thing is, he said, there's, you know, 3 sacred places that like we don't allow phones. It's the dinner table, the bedroom, and the car. And I love that, because it's, if you get caught on your phone in the bed, especially if you have somebody else that you're like with, I mean, it devalues them in a lot of ways. Same with the dinner table. Like someone puts a ton of time into making something, like your mom or your dad or one of your friends, if you go over, like, is out of respect. I mean, that's a great time to have a conversation. And the car, I was going to say, like our road trip, like, you know, we just talked the whole time. Now it was guided through music and some things we were looking up, but like, there's nothing that, you know, makes me more mad. Like if I were to carpool to practice or drive with somebody and like they're into something on their phone and I'm trying to talk cause I'm driving, like, the car is so sacred. That's when I make a lot of calls and able to talk with people. Cause like when you're at home, I mean, it's tough. And I love the idea that those 3 places can be like without phone. Yeah. Because it's not that much to ask, you know?
No, it's not. It's a small portion of your day, and it ain't going to kill you.
You hear a lot of people say, like, you know, don't watch movies in your bed. Like don't eat in your bed. Don't
just
watch
sleep
movies
in your bed. Yeah.
Like your bed is for sleeping. And like, that's the best way to get good sleep. That's the best way to like, for your body to get in a rhythm.
Right.
And it is important.
Yeah.
It's really hard to
I agree.
do.
I'm happy that like I grew up and like my mom was always like, yeah, like we're sitting down to eat. You know, if we're home, like we're gonna eat dinner, and like we're not gonna watch television while we're doing it. Like we don't even have a TV like near our dining room. And back then, when I was kids, like the phones weren't what they were. You know, they weren't like the computers that they are now, obviously. But even now, like you know, like I go visit my grandparents or whatever. Like we have Sunday dinner. Like I'm not taking my phone out because that time is important. And I always think about as you said to the car. My fifth grade teacher, who was really, really special to me and had a really, really big impact on me, and I still keep in contact with her. She was raising, when I was in fifth grade, I think her daughters were maybe high school age, and she used to pick them up after school, and she was like, I have one rule. She's like, when I roll up to the curb, my daughters get in the car. She's like, my car doesn't start. I don't put it back into drive until they start talking about how their day was, and not just like, oh, my day was good or oh, it was fine, like actual things, you know, because like I need to maintain a presence, and like we need to have that communication as good as it is for me because I'm interested in their lives. It's good for them to discuss and to share things, and that's how you bond. You know, you bond over stuff that you don't even think you could bond over. And I always think about that. Like she's like that. She's like,
I hope I remember that one.
She's like, I wouldn't start my car until we started talking. And like whether it was a good day or bad day, like let's chat about it. And I always think about that because obviously, like, you know, it's getting hard to raise kids. It's getting hard to be a kid now, you know, with phones. And yes. I don't know, like, I mean, like you've got your brother's having children, and you know, your other brother's about to get married, and like the challenges that they're going to face, and you know, if and when, you know, we have children, it's gonna be really challenging. Because that part of the world, the pervasive aspects of it through technology, it's just like, it's not like it was when we were kids, where like, you know, kids didn't really start getting phones until high school, and they weren't iPhones, you know. It's going to be tough. There's a lot of big challenges in the world, but as we've been taught, you know, despite those challenges and despite the bad, you know, we got to put on those brave faces and realize, you know, it'll all be better tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't know the landscape that the world will be in when we have our kids, so it'll be totally different.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, a lot of what we're going to have to do 15 years from now hasn't even been invented yet.
Exactly. Yeah, and the one other quote, like, I don't know why it stuck out to me. I'll just say it from the movie. And, you know, Buck's on the phone talking to Shanice, and she needs him to come watch so he can go out and find Tia, and they've been fighting this whole time, and she's like, I'm not coming over. You know, it's like, I really need you. Like, I need to do this, and I need you there because I promised my brother. And she's like, I will help you because kids are involved, but as far as us, it's over. And he just responded, however it has to be. And for some reason, that line, like, I mean, I don't know why, you know, it's like the Vince McMahon, like, I'm already like tearing up like that. However it has to be. I'm like, you know, and it's like putting aside his personal, you know, what is good for their relationship, or like, you know, and you're just pleading to someone to ask, and it's like, and like to get it done. And I don't know, however it has to be, like, it just, for some reason, it seems so, like, it can be applicable in so many different situations in your day to day. And
just realizing there's some things you can't change.
Yes.
And accepting it in
you
real
can't change
time.
if someone else says something, like, and you have to respect that. And like, he does that a lot, where, you know, a lot of misunderstandings, but like, you can't, you know, wiggle your way out of it all the time, even if you're good at it. Yeah. And like, sometimes you have to understand.
He knew his place, and he knew his role, and he owned everything he did, and he understood, you know, the things that he couldn't change, which is really admirable, because those are hard truths to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad we circled back to that one. That one's really important. It's just like,
it is.
I can't do this right now. It's tough,
Chris,
man.
like, you know, I can't.
Yeah, so I never expected to be, you know, get emotional on a Monday night at 9:45 as Uncle Buck ends, but here we are. You know, it's like, so what are your late 20s like? What are the holidays like for you? Lastly, this is the last thing I have to say, and then we probably get to songs that we can close it up. Is Uncle Buck a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's absolutely a Christmas movie. They don't mention Christmas a single goddamn time, but it's a Christmas movie.
It is. It seems like, I mean, it's a movie that you watch with your families, and you do that usually around Christmas when everybody's together. Yeah. You watch an old classic, like quality time. Yeah, and that's where it fits in for sure. So If Die Hard can be a Christmas movie, then Uncle Buck can as well.
Uncle Buck sure as hell can. All right. Well, if you're still with us, thank you. I very much enjoyed this episode. This was a lot of fun to do, and it was about a lot of things that we felt we needed to talk about. So we hope that maybe you got something out of it, and at the very least, we hope you enjoyed the time that you spent with us. As we said, if you want to support us, you know how. Check the show notes. We've got the merch link and the Patreon link as well. Send us an email, grungebible@gmail.com, if you have got any feedback or any questions or suggestions. Other than that, like and subscribe, share the show, let everybody know that the Grunge Bible podcast is rolling on. I just combined like too many voices right there. That was,
I was just say, we got the other side of it though. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, let them know. Yeah. Nevertheless, let's get into songs of the week. Both of which
not to be missed out.
Yeah,
or not to be skipped out, because this also is the ending. Well, okay, I'm not sure what yours is, but if I didn't use this as my song of the week, you would, because we've also been
use it. Yeah,
heavily captivated by this song. The closing credits. It just comes in right when they're saying bye. One of our favorite YouTube comments of that, that scene, because she like waves to him and they both give soft smiles, and then it freezes on Uncle Buck putting up his hand with a soft smile, and like the comment read basically, that soft smile or that goodbye was basically like, it's going to be all right, you're going to be okay. And those nonverbal cues are so important. And then to top it all off, in the back of the background, we have this song "Rhythm of Life" playing by Hugh Harris. And what a song. What a beautiful 90s song, or 80s. When did it come out? Probably came out in the 80s. And it was, I don't know. It just was musically really sound.
Came out in 1989, vocals are great. Same year as the film.
Yeah, same year as the film. Very, very well put together, and just one of those songs you just listen to, like, yeah, this is good music. Like, there's songs that don't get recognition, people that don't get, and they're just like making really solid stuff, especially back in the day. Like, when, I don't know, Music Theory, or people were like, melodies were, they're big now, but like good singing melodies and like full band. Oh man, it's just such a good, and it's just a perfect end to a movie like this, where and it's one of my favorite types of music, is like this, the credits, like the credit
instrumental
songs.
They let that sax man loose a little bit. He takes that sax for a run. It's the perfect exclamation point for the everything that was going on in that movie, for sure. And it was like, once again, like I was the Vince McMahon meme when that came on and they froze on Uncle Buck, John Candy's character giving that wave to Tia, who was standing at the door. It is the rhythm of life. And, a lot of this movie was about those ups and downs, and, just kind of how things play out.
I mean, and that's really the episode of the episode title for this,
basically,
for this podcast.
This is the rhythm of life. Yeah.
And the chorus, I could read the whole lyrics, but it's like, the rhythm of life is such a furious thing. He'll make you cry. He'll make you sing. The rhythm of life has a curious sound. Yeah, and that is exactly the rhythm of life, the ups and downs. It'll make you cry. It'll make you laugh. And this song embodies all of that, especially at the end of a nice comedy tear-jerking movie for some reason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was, it was really special for sure.
Candidate for song of the year for us.
Oh yeah, we've got like 25 days left in the year as we're sitting down here, but I'm telling you, this thing is steaming forward, climbing up the charts for sure. My song of the week is also going to be about something we discussed, something we mentioned earlier. It's going to be Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs, from their album Brave Faces Everyone. And it's that one that we were talking about earlier, where, I swear to God, I'm an optimist, and we don't have to fix everything all at once. And I think before we recorded this, Ethan, we kind of chatted about, the two topics we really wanted to discuss. Well, three of them really seemingly would have nothing to do with one another, but I think we did it, Ethan. I think we weaved them all together, and who knows, maybe I've been huffing too much gas and we didn't do a good job of it, but it feels right. And it feels good that we kind of put all of these themes together and these topics together, because It's holistically, I think, what we've been dealing with, what we've been thinking about. So the homework for Grunge Bible fans out there, go stream or better yet, buy a physical copy of Uncle Buck, and then go listen to some Spanish love songs and see if you can make that connection too, and see if you can get something from it, because we sure did.
Amen. What a call to action right there.
Oh yeah.
Like you said,
I love with an iron fist over here.
Last night when we talked, you were just like, I don't think there's two people in the world that are as closely connected to Uncle Buck right now than we are. Yeah. And I love that. And Spanish love songs. I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there, but
together at the same time and for the same reasons. Yeah, there's population too.
I will, venture out and say it's never been done before.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, people are listening to this show, I would love to hear what people think about these episodes. Like we get feedback from time to time, but a lot of it is our like in real life friends, our inner circle. But
I know
if you have thoughts, like please, we want to know whether you like it or hate it or indifferent, or just like, how did you do that? Like that was good, or like, hey, like that was like, those totally should have been 2 separate episodes. Like I just want to know kind of what people are thinking and why people are listening. So if you're comfortable sharing with us, send us an email or a direct message or something. I
would love some validation on the Uncle Buck love
Spanish
that
love
we just
song.
said. Like, please tell us that we're not crazy for saying all this stuff.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. So, I think Ethan, that's got to be our episode, right?
Nah, let's redo it.
Yeah, let's start from the top.
Let's
1989's
totally
Uncle Buck. Well, also, I meant to say this earlier. We are recording this on the 29th birthday of Bush's debut album, 16 Stone. I don't think I talked about the fact that I went to a Bush show a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. I can't remember, but we're not getting into that right now. I'm not getting into the details.
We've used our energy appropriately already.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll have to tune in next week, perhaps, as we discuss that, because we'll be back bright and early on, what would that be, December the 18th for episode 143 of the Grunge Bible Podcast.
Yes, we have the 18th, and then we have the 25th episode coming out on Christmas.
Christmas
short
special. The calendar is lined up.
Exactly. And then we also have one coming out on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about the U2.
Please don't listen to us. Well, no, actually, you know what? Listen to us with your families on those holidays.
I know I will be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure my family will appreciate that. The Christmas and holiday episodes.
I'll have Dave listen to this episode about Uncle Buck and see what he has to say.
Maybe he'll be more in tune with the Spanish love songs portion of the episode.
I would bet against that, but
outlook not likely. Although this one was good. I didn't cuss very much in this episode, so I'm very proud of that. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but
you did great.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
That was good. Thank you, Ethan. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Drew, our producer.
Thank you, Drew.
He's doing a lovely job behind the scenes, still steady and true. And we're going to have him on an episode in the beginning of the new year. So be looking forward.
Tradition.
Drew McFadden Show episode 4 or whatever it is.
3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah. He's been on more 69. Than 4. I don't know.
But we've only coined 2 episodes of the Drew McFadden Show. He's been on a lot.
It's like the Truman Show. Okay, guys.
Exactly. All right. Yeah.
That's it. Me and Chris are going to get on with our day, as should you.
Have a great week. The rhythm of life keeps on beating. I don't know.
Rock and roll, guys. See ya.
Rock and roll. Take care, everyone.